Good evening and welcome to Parent Night for sophomores and juniors, classes of 2023 and 2024. During this presentation, we will go over an introduction so that you know who our school staff are. We will go over student and parent expectations, our bell schedule, graduation requirements, pathways, college and career readiness, college now and concurrent options, student support services, and social media. The counselors for our 11th graders are Sandra Gonzalez, who is the counselor for students whose last names begin with A through L, and Rebecca Ledbetter, who's the counselor for students whose last names begin with M through Z. Their contact information can be found on our website. If you scroll down the left-hand side, you'll see a link that says counseling and guidance, and you can click on that and it has the same contact information that you see on the screen. For 10th grade, our counselors are Chris Carrillo for students whose last names begin with A through L, and Sue Averett for students whose last names begin with M through Z. We have 2 new counselors on campus this year, Heidi Elenis, who works with students from A through L, and Rocio Trujillo, who works with students whose last names begin with M through Z. These counselors will work specifically with our students who are attending the Virtual Learning Academy and will have a huge focus on students who are credit deficient or who experience learning loss over the last few years. We have 2 amazing guidance techs who work with us, Sandra Araguin, who works with students with last names A through L, and Vicki Ramos, who works with students M through Z. They are located in our College and Career Center. They focus on attendance and work with our assistant principal on assisting parents and helping their students get to school on a regular basis, but also support our team in many other areas. Down at the bottom, you'll see the name Flor Avila Suarez. That is our guidance secretary. You can reach her at any time and she can connect you with the correct person in the guidance department. She's terrific. All right, so since many of our students haven't been on campus, we wanted to make sure you knew the faces and names of our Pioneer Valley High School administration. So we have Shanda Herrera, our principal. She's been here for about 10 years and she's runs the school really well. She gets to know our students really well, and she is very open to communication with our parents, so don't hesitate to contact her at any time. Mr. Dickinson is our principal, assistant principal over instruction, and Mr. Elak is our new assistant principal over student services. Dr. Paul Collier is the assistant principal over special programs, and new to our staff is Ms. Oki Golden, and she is our new dean of students. All right, so we understand that our students have not been on campus for quite some time. And for my sophomore students, they haven't been on campus at all unless they came part-time at the end of the year last year, where things ran a little bit differently. Our junior students only came to school for about a semester and a month. So getting back in the groove of attending school is definitely going to take a little bit of adjustment. So we wanted to just go over for parents what we will be expecting of students and what we will be expecting of parents. We do expect students to attend all their classes in person. So daily attendance is important. They can't learn if they're not in class. There will be no Zoom option for classes unless circumstances change. So they should plan to be in person every day if possible, unless of course they are ill. Masks will be required indoors at all times, covering the nose and the mouth. So that will be an expectation that your student comes to school with a mask. Last year, teachers did use Canvas for assignments and grades. They will still use Canvas this year. It will look a little bit different for each teacher. as far as how they use it and how they have their students submit assignments. However, one thing we did do this year was make sure that all Canvas pages are a look-alike when you open them up. So all teachers will have their syllabus on there, they will have their assignments on there, and they will have their contact information on there. And then it will vary by teachers as far as who actually has assignments submitted on Canvas. Some teachers may still have you submit assignments in person. And we do ask that your student check their student email daily. Now, our students get in the habit of being on Canvas a lot, but they actually have an Outlook email and they need to check that daily. That is the way the counselors communicate with them and the teachers communicate with them. So that's what they should use, not only to make sure they're getting the information they need, but also they should use that to communicate with school staff. So that school Outlook email is important. I actually suggest that our students go and delete everything prior to August so they don't get bogged down by all the emails they didn't check last year. And then you encourage your student at least, a few times a week, hey, have you checked your email, so that you make sure they're getting the information they need. If your student has a cell phone number and they're willing to give it to their counselor, they can send us an email with it. It's nice for us to have it on their Aries account so that we can communicate with them when needed. There are times when we need to get a hold of a student about a schedule change or to ask them a question, and that saves us the time of having to go through parents who are often working and busy and having them contact the kids. So having that direct cell number is really helpful. And then your student does need to turn in their work and assignments on time. Last year, the most of the expectation was that the work would be completed during the school day just because of the different situation. But now, of course, your student's going to be in class for a shorter period of time and they will have homework. You should expect your student to have a good couple of hours of homework every single night. They do need to do that work at night and they need to turn it in on time. And during these first few weeks of school, the teachers are going to focus a little bit more on getting to know the student, helping the students readjust to being in school, helping them be comfortable with the teachers and the other students. So I don't think it will be assignment heavy for the first, 2, 3, 4 weeks, but there will be some assignments. So your student does need to be working on those on a regular basis. Okay, parents, we also need help from you. Helping your students be successful in school is definitely a team effort, and you are an important part of that team. So the things you can do that would really be helpful are, if possible, please provide your student with a quiet place to complete homework. We know that when everyone was home last year during the pandemic, that became hard for a lot of families, but hopefully now that things are settling down, your student will have a quiet place to do their work. If they don't, our library is available in the mornings before school from 7:30 to 8:30, and then usually it's open after school till about 4 or 4:30. So your student could come after school and do their work there as well, and they would have computer and printer access. We also do have computer and printer access in our College and Career Center, and students often use that area before school or during lunchtime or after school. Please ensure that the school has your correct contact numbers. One of our big issues with getting a hold of parents, and we do need to get a hold of you sometimes to collaborate with you about your student success in school, and sometimes because there's an issue at school, there might be a health issue or some other issue that we need to get a hold of parents. And oftentimes it turns out that people have changed their numbers and forgot to notify the school. So if your number changes, please notify the school. You can look on Aries and double check that we do have all the correct contact numbers. Another thing that comes up a lot is that we do try and contact parents either personally, or we'll send out recordings through our parent square system. And because parents don't have a voicemail set up and don't answer their phone, they don't get those messages. Also, a lot of parents have voicemail set up, but they forget to clear it out. I know that's something I do sometimes. So just if every once in a while you can go out and clear your voicemail so that you do receive the messages and make sure you check them, that's super helpful. We do have Parent Square notifications that we send. That allows us to send notifications at the same time through email, call, and text. If you accept text if you accept text messages. So downloading that app, which is on our school website, is really helpful. All you need to do is use your Aries email and password. And speaking of your Aries email, we hope that we have a email on file for you. And we ask that you do check that daily as well, just like we ask our students to, because again, we do email parents when we have a hard time getting a hold of them, or if we have documents to send to them, we may email you. If we don't have an email on file for you, please provide one to the school. That's what gives you access to Aries. And then please sign up for Aries and check your Aries parent portal weekly to monitor your students' progress. You will see their attendance, any missing assignments, their grades. So it's just a really good idea to get into the habit of checking that weekly so you're not surprised if there's an issue. You can, if you see the little red squares, you see that assignments are missing, you can ask your student what's going on. You can contact the teacher if you need to, set up a parent meeting. But you don't want to be surprised that your student has a low grade because you're not checking all the time. So please make sure to check that at least once a week so you're on top of it. And then just daily check in with your student about the work they're doing, what's going on at school, what's hard, what they like, what they're getting involved in, who their friends are. Just communicating with your student daily about their school life is really important so that they know you are engaged and you are supportive of them. And that way also, if you notice a problem, you can contact us and we can help you solve that problem with your student. Okay. So I mentioned logging into Office, email, and Canvas. So these are the instructions, and this is on the website. When your student goes on the website, they will see the email Office 365 link and also the Canvas link. So they want to make sure they can email that. It's not difficult. It is their student ID at students-smjuhsd.org. And then their password is their regular network password for school. And they can talk to their counselor if they're not sure what that password is, or they can call tech support. On the top of our screen, there is on the main web page is the tech support number, and they are available most days. So also on our website, that's super helpful, are how-to videos. So down on the right-hand side, you'll see it circled here, is a link to a bunch of how-to videos for Aries, setting up parent Aries, students checking accounts. So that's a really good place to look first when your student is having a hard time accessing things. And then again, up here on the top and highlighted in yellow is the technology hotline. And then down on the left are all the links for contacting staff. And there's staff contact numbers, there's a guidance and counseling link, a lot of information on that website for you. And then we do have a school calendar on our website so that you can see what's going on at school. All right, so here's our schedule. Obviously, as some of you who were here as freshmen before the pandemic, our students did attend school and would have followed this schedule. But those of you who were new last year, this is a new schedule for you. So the daily schedule is our schools open from 7:30, classes run from 7:30 to 2:55. Students will have 6 classes for the most part. So your student is either going to have a first through a 6th period, meaning they come to school from 7:30 to 1:55, or they're going to have a 2nd through 7th. So they'll come to school from 8:30 to 2:55. A few students will have a 7 period. So they might have 1 through 7. And that's because they have a support class like math support or English support, or they're in AVID, or they're in band. So those are mainly the students. Most students will not have 7th period. Your students are going to see an 8th period advisement on their schedule. This is not a class. This is, so they have a link on Canvas to tutor.com, which is one of the resources we have available to them. On every Monday is a collaboration schedule. So the schedule is a little bit different. The classes are a little bit shorter. The start time is basically the same, but all students are out at 1:55. If students only have a 6th period, they're out at 1:05. And one of the questions we have received is, can a student go home if they're out after 6th period? Absolutely. That is when their school day ends. We do have some minimum days on campus. So you want to make sure that your student is aware of those days. They're on a school calendar. There's not a lot of them, but again, the school day ends a little bit earlier. Okay. This is kind of a long slide, but I'll try not to go too in depth. These are our requirements for graduation and for applying to university. So I'm going to go over the ones on the left first, and those are our general graduation requirements at all 3 comprehensive high schools in the district. In order to graduate from Pioneer Valley High School, your student needs a total of 220 credits. Each semester class is worth 5 credits. Your student takes 6 classes as a minimum a year. So 5 classes a semester is 30 credits, and a year would be 60 credits. So that is, by the end, there is no problem earning those total credits of 220 if they are passing their classes. There are different credit amounts they need in each subject: history 30 credits, English 40 credits, math 20 credits, and they must pass Algebra 1. So our students all start at that level, and they either will take a 2-year algebra course to meet that requirement, or just the 1-year Algebra 1 course. Students need 2 years of a lab science, 10 credits of either a visual and performing art, a career technical class, or a foreign language, 75 elective credits, which sounds like a lot, but they'll definitely, they will add up as they go ahead and take their classes through all their years here. Health 5 credits, and PE 2 credits. So students take PE both their freshman and sophomore year. Students need to earn a D in these classes as a minimum in order to meet graduation requirements. A D is the minimum passing grade. And then when they earn their high school diploma, they are eligible to join the armed forces, to attend community college, or any technical school. And that's what that diploma does for them. As I said, a D is the minimum grade. We don't want them to get Ds. A D is, we don't want them to do the minimum work. We want them to push themselves and try and excel in their classes. All right, so over to the right, you're going to see the requirements for university. And what this means is these are the minimum requirements that allow your student to apply to attend a university after high school. So in your student's senior year in the fall, those students who have met what are called the A through G requirements have the option of applying to attend a 4-year university. So some of the requirements are the same and some are a little different. In fact, you'll see, for instance, English, they need 4 years. That's the same as our graduation requirements. History, 2 years. Well, we require 3 years, so they're going to fulfill that. Math gets a little bit different. Your student needs to not only pass Algebra 1, but geometry and Algebra 2 as well. So, and that is the sequence they take those classes in. And the reason they do that is because a student needs Algebra 1 skills in order to be successful in geometry, and they need some of those geometry skills in order to be successful in Algebra 2. That is the minimum requirement. If they can get through these 3 classes in their first 2 or 3 years, then the universities want to see that they take more math. They push themselves and move on to statistics or calculus or math analysis. They are required to take 2 years of lab science. So your students all take physics of the universe as freshmen, biology of the living earth as sophomores, and then we have a chemistry class in their junior year, and then lots of science electives. But those first 2 classes are what going to meet that requirement, and then they again ask for more. In order to apply to university, your student does need to take 2 years of the same foreign language, so either French or Spanish. And they, again, universities prefer that they go above and beyond that and take 3 or 4 years. They do need a year of college prep fine arts, and 99% of our fine arts offerings are college prep. And then a year of college prep elective. 99% of our electives are college prep, so that's not a problem. Now, unlike graduation requirements, Ds are not acceptable in these classes. Your student does need to earn a C or better in all of the classes in order to be considered. And to be honest, a C is not going to do it. Universities are looking for A's and B's, all right? And so that your student will need to meet these A through G requirements. in order to apply to university, they're going to need to take some college admissions exams, and they're going to start practicing for those in their sophomore and junior years. So our juniors will take the practice SAT on October 13th, and then our sophomores will take it, the practice SAT, in the spring. And then again, if your student is really serious about applying to university, down here, you're going to see community service. That's something they need to focus on, community service, and also involvement in school, being parts of clubs, maybe playing sports, being part of ASB. So that's something they need to consider, and they should talk to their counselor about the best ways to do that, or our college and career center specialists. One of the things I do want to point out is we do encourage every student from the time they get here to meet the A through G requirement. We do not go for the minimum graduation requirement. We push our students. We want them to be ready to attend university. We understand that not all students are going to attend university. Some of them want to go in the armed forces. Community college is an excellent choice in this area because we do get some free community college, and it's a great way to save some money and get some of those lower division units done. And some of our students want to go to technical school or just go straight out into the workforce. And we understand that every student is different. They need to follow their path. However, what a student thinks they want to do sophomore year oftentimes changes. And by the time they get to senior year, we want them to have the option to apply for university if they're able. So it's all about giving them options after high school. The better you do in high school, the more options you're going to have. And that's what we try and instill in our students. So if your student is A through G eligible, they've done well, they've gotten C's or above in A through G classes, we're going to push them to do that. And if you as a family make a choice that you no longer want them on that path, we are going to have a meeting about that and have you sign a form opting out so that you do understand, just so we make sure we have discussed with you why it is important to be A through G. Our students who are A through G do get a medal for graduation to wear over their cap and gown. Okay, so this past year and a half has been difficult, and we know that a lot of students struggled and earned low grades, D's and F's. So they will be required to make most of those up. And we offer them options for doing that. We offered summer school this year, and a lot of our students came. I think they made up about 1,400 classes. So that is terrific. Not every student came though. So students who came but still have classes to make up, or who didn't come at all, will have to make those up. If they got a D grade in an A through G course, in order to meet A through G requirements, they need to retake that class. If they earned an F in any course required for graduation, again, they need to make that up. That doesn't just go away, they have to make it up. So we're going to put them in an ITT, Intervention Through Technology class, or Plato in place of an elective. And your students were aware of this. We talked about it every time we spoke to them last year, that they would not be in an elective if they needed an ITT or Plato and didn't have enough room in their 6-period schedule. So a lot of your students will have that on their schedule, and this allows students in one classroom daily to work on online courses and start making up those credits so that they can sort of get their transcript back in order for what their post-secondary plans are. Some students will also be invited to come to summer school next summer, and we hope if that's the case that you will have them attend. And then we may offer some after school options for credit recovery. Students not making progress in credit recovery classes might have restricted access to activities. So if your students, the first line of defense will be to talk to the student, then with you. But if after that your student is still not doing what they need to do in credit recovery, because it's important, there does have to be some sort of consequence. So they may be restricted from participating in school activities. Students who are extremely credit deficient, so 30 units or less, may be referred to Delta to complete their high school requirements. So Delta is our alternative high school, and they have they run on a trimester rather than a semester, and they have fewer graduation requirements. And sometimes students who are unable to complete their graduation requirements at Pioneer Valley do need to go to Delta, and so that may be a conversation we are having at the end of this year for sophomores, and during the year, those are ongoing discussions for juniors who are credit deficient. Finally, There was a law passed in California recently that allows students to request a waiver for low grades from last year. So we sent this information to your student, and it was sent to all parents that if your student received a grade they don't want on their transcript, they can request to have that changed. So any grade from any low grade like a C or a D, and really it would just be the Ds, you can request, your student can request to have those changed to a credit. The nice thing about that is the D no longer affects their grade point average, so it no longer brings down that grade point average. And for students trying to meet A through G requirements, for this year, for last year only, 2020 to 2021, the universities, the Cal State and UCs will accept that credit in place of a C grade. So they will look at it as having met A through G requirements. The private universities may not accept it, but UCs and CSUs will accept it. So that is a great way for a student to get that, meet that A through G requirement without having to retake the class. And this is the one and only opportunity they will have. They will not keep doing this. This is solely because students had to be in school online and they realized that was hard for some families. They can also request that an F grade be changed to a no credit. And the benefit of that is that an F grade really does bring down their GPA, and the no credit does not affect their GPA. However, they still need to repeat that class. If you fail a class, it still has to be repeated. So if your student is in that position and they haven't gotten that email, we will be calling them in the first day of school, because those requests are due by August 16th, and we do need a parent signature on it. Okay. College and career readiness. So one of the ways states grade schools now is on how prepared our students are in the area of college and career readiness. So they kind of look at it in different ways, and they grade our school. So it is our goal to make sure your student is college and career ready, make sure your students have plenty of post-secondary options that they know what they want to do as far as their post-secondary education, as well as some ideas about what kind of career choices they want to make. And showing the state that your student is college and career ready we have 12 different ways that we do that, 12 different ways. So here are all the measures right here. And this is not something parents need to know a ton about, other than the fact that we will be working with your students so that they meet these measures. And they're all different ways. Your student might take 2 semesters of college credit course. For instance, if your student was a freshman last year and they took that prod class, that was a college credit course. If they pass that class, they've got one under their belt, and we have lots of options for that. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we're going to be working hard to make sure your student is college and career ready. And this is the way we measure, one of these 12 ways. And if your student meets one of these 12 ways, they earn a white sash to wear over their graduation regalia. So when you if you've been to our graduations and you see the white PV sash, that's how we recognize these students. And we had about a little over 50% of our students wearing that white sash last year, even during the pandemic. All right. So I mentioned college courses. So your student has the opportunity to earn some college credit while they are still in high school. The benefit of that is that if your student's taking college classes now, when they get to college, whether it be Allen Hancock, another junior college, or a university, they already have some of their work done. So that's less classes they have to take and pay for once they're in college. So the ability to do that and get some of those classes out of the way, that's a huge benefit to your students. Most students who take advantage of this end up starting college at the sophomore level. So how great, that's a year out of the way. And especially since college sometimes takes more than 4 years, that can be really helpful as far as the financial impact of college goes. So we can do that in 2 different ways. Allen Hancock offers classes to our students through a program called College Now. So once a student is finished with their sophomore year, they're eligible to attend classes through the College Now program. And that allows them to take classes on the Allen Hancock campus or through their online courses outside of our school day. These are College Now is outside of our school day. So it's after school in the evenings or during the summer. And they have a wide variety of courses they can take. They can take some of the courses they need, like foreign language, to fulfill their requirement here. And they can also take courses that will help them fulfill their lower division requirements at the university. And we can help them figure out which ones of those are. They can also take courses that we don't offer here that they're just interested in, like photography or ceramics. So there are lots of options for them. There are some requirements. The students do need to have a minimum 2.0 GPA, and they are only allowed to take 6 units. So most classes are 3 units. That would be 2 classes. Some classes are more than that. If it's a language class, they're only going to be allowed to take 1 at a time. It says they need to be 16 years old. Allen Hancock is actually flexible with that. We can, for our stronger students, appeal that. I did have some freshmen students heading into sophomore year take some classes over the summer, and we just kind of gauge that based on how well they did and how well they're doing here on campus. For parents, the benefit is it's tuition free. You don't pay for those classes. However, because they're College Now classes, you do pay for supplies, textbooks, a small health fee, and the transportation. And depending on the class, textbooks can be anywhere from like $40 to over $100. So still a lot cheaper than taking a college class and what your kid will pay in college. So definitely a bonus. We also offer a lot of concurrent courses through Allen Hancock on our campus. So this is a little bit different. These are courses that your student is taking during their school day on our campus with a teacher here at our school. So our teachers partner with Allen Hancock and are allowed to teach those semester-long courses. So our students earn units on their Hancock transcript as well as on their Pioneer Valley transcript. So an example of that would be a history course. We have history courses starting in sophomore year that are Allen Hancock concurrent courses. So a student, for instance, in their sophomore year needs to take a modern world history course. If they wanted to take the concurrent course, they would take History 101 first semester and History 102 second semester and earn 6 units of Allen Hancock College credits. So that's a huge benefit. And we have classes not just in history, but in multiple subject areas, both elective and academic courses. So your students hear about those options during registration and hear about the benefits of them, and those are offered to students who we believe can keep up with the rigor because they are taught at the college level. We do, and there are no fees. That's another benefit. There's no fees. We provide the textbooks, so that's completely free and it's not outside of school. But again, it is more rigorous. Students are going to work harder. They're going to have more homework, and they are going to need to earn a C or above, because if your student has on their transcript an AHC course, that's an Allen Hancock course, and they earned a D or an F, they have already they're already on academic probation at Allen Hancock. They put their financial aid at risk. So we really work with students to keep that from happening. Unfortunately, it does sometimes. And then we will work with Allen Hancock to figure out how we can have them take another course or two to get out of that probationary period so they are eligible for financial aid later. Okay, a couple of other things that parents have just emailed about, called about, asked about, students have asked about. Students will get their books with their teachers. So before last year, your students had to come and pick up their textbooks. Well, they'll be here on campus, so their teachers will walk them down to the textbook window and get those textbooks. Students get 1 book per class. They're required to bring them back and forth. They are required to take care of them and turn them back in, or if they don't turn them back in or they damage them, there will be a fine. We understand that because we don't have lockers, it gets difficult for students who have a lot of books, and we're sorry about that. The students, sometimes have rolling backpacks they use. Sometimes they find teachers who are willing to let them leave them in their classroom. But for the most part, students are responsible for transporting those books to and from school. Your students all have an ID card. They received them their first year here. That first one was free. If they need a replacement, they do need to go to the business office and pay $3 for that replacement. Students are required to bring their tablets and charger every day. Not every class will require the tablet, but some will, and your student needs to have that here. We do have tech support here on campus. If there is a problem with your student's tablet, they need to bring them into the tech support person at the library so that we can get that fixed. We also have extra chargers available. So if your student needs a charger, they should go to the library and ask for a charger. For my sophomores, they need PE uniforms this year. So they're going to be in PE. It's our second year of PE. Those uniforms are sold in the business office, and the PE teacher will explain that process to them on the first day. They are required to buy at least the shirt and shorts or shirt and sweats. So they will be required to wear those every day in PE. And it's about $20 for the shirt and shorts set. They don't need the sweats. Those are optional. We do want to remind you, if your student is absent, please call or visit the PBHS website to clear the absence. Of course, doctor's appointments and medical appointments and illness are excused absences. Taking your student to Disneyland or to visit family, that's not an excused absence. In excused absences, teachers will provide work for your student to make up. But if the absence is not excused, please be aware that teachers are not required to give your student makeup work. Students are expected to be in school unless they are ill or have a medical appointment. All right, this year breakfast and lunch is going to be free for everyone. However, we still do need a lunch application filled out for each family in order to make that work. So on our website, if you go down the right side, you'll see a link that says Titan. That is the lunch application, or we have paper applications here. A bit of bad news, there is no district school bus pickup for the first month. There have a bus driver shortage in our district, and we got the short end of the stick. So we don't have busing. However, SMAT, we have purchased 30-day SMAT passes available at the front desk. The bus information is on our website, so your student can figure out the route that they need to take. However, they should keep in mind that there are still COVID restrictions on those SMAT buses, so they won't be packing students in. There's going to be less students per bus, so your student really needs to plan how to get here, what time they need to get up and get to the bus stop to get a spot on that bus. And if you can give them a ride or find ways to carpool with other families, that might be a better option at this point. There is a lot of traffic, though, having said that, during drop-off, so you'll need it better to get your student here early so that they make sure they get to class on time. All right. We do have some social media accounts that we'd like you to follow us on, and they're right here on the screen. We are, as a counseling team, trying to get better about being on social media. So we know that's the way a lot of people like to get information, and we want you to be able to get that information that way. And then we also have a YouTube channel that has all these videos. So if you're watching this, you've already seen our YouTube channel, but you can see lots of videos from last year and other things that we have online to look at. All right. As far as questions, obviously this is a recording, but a few of the questions that we got a lot of yesterday evening were a few were COVID. What are the protocols? We do have a set of COVID protocols. We do have testing available on site, both rapid and 48-hour testing. So if students are exhibiting symptoms, they will be escorted to the health office. There is a special tent outside, so we'll keep them away from other students, and we will be giving them tests. If they happen to test positive in the rapid test, they will be given the 48-hour test as well. Students will be required to wear masks inside, so that is a good option, or that is a good preventative measure. And then all of our students are eligible to be vaccinated. So that is also another really good preventable measure to keep all of our school staff and students safe on campus. Another question was just how are we going to make the students comfortable having been off campus? So please know that our focus will be on your students' mental health, especially at the beginning. We do want to make sure they feel comfortable. On the first day of school, there will be Link Crew leaders in green t-shirts outside. And your students, anybody in a green t-shirt, they can grab and to ask, how do I get to my class? Can you help me? They can go into any administrative office and get their schedule printed out for them. Their counselors will be available for them. We work, just so parents are a little more comfortable, our counseling team works with students in 3 different ways: academic, college and career, and personal social. And those are equally important. So even though we do focus a lot on academics and college and career readiness, please know that your students social emotional health is very important to us, and we are aware and available to them. So we have an open door policy, and your student is welcome to come in anytime, or you as a parent are welcome to call us or email us or visit us with any concerns that you have. If your student has a concern that we are not able to address because of our skill set, we will find someone on campus who is. We have support groups on campus. We have an LMFT on campus, a therapist, and we have lots of other people on campus who can support them, and we can make outside referrals. So we are here to partner with you in supporting your student, and we want to help their time in high school be successful. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your student's counselor at any time. We should be your first point of contact if you have a concern, and we will make sure that we help you as best we can or direct you to the person that can help you. All right, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Again, if you have any questions, please contact your student's counselor.